If the standard Oyster Perpetual 39mm ticks all the boxes but may be a little too basic for you, and the lack of triplock clasp is a deal breaker, and then the 40mm Rolex Submariner is a bit too loud or shiny with ceramic and rotating bezel that leaves it a bit too sporty to go with your lifestyle, what you're looking at might be the best thing to happen to you. Originally introduced in 1953, the Rolex Explorer reference 214270 you're looking at is the latest generation of this model, introduced in 2016. The size on Rolex Explorer was up from 36mm to 39mm back in 2010. And in the latest generation, the luminous infill for hour markers at 3, 6 and 9 o'clock made the return. One of the main upgrades in the latest generation of Explorer from its predecessor is the improved proportions and legibility. The hands for hour and minute have been lengthened and widened in the new reference to not only enhance time readability but also to make it more appropriate with the bigger size of 39mm that was upgraded back in 2010. The luminous material at all the hour markers, including the Arabic numerals at 3, 6 and 9 o'clock, now not only enhances the legibility of the watch but also makes it more balanced. There is of course no date in the dial, but the absence of date window not only makes the dial so much more symmetrical but also simplifies the dial elements. I've personally been a fan of stick hour markers, and although I'm not a big fan of Arabic numerals in the dial, the best part with Rolex Explorer is that it maintains a very striking balance between stick and numeric hour markers, to the point where you get to experience and enjoy the flavor of both in the same dial and the very same watch. The dial hands on all Rolex Sports and professional models are the same for hour, minute and seconds, and Rolex Explorer makes no exception here. I personally love the depth the hands give at their junction point and the way they cycle over each other, being reflected through the polished surfaces on the top. The top surfaces of hands here see a very fine polish and leave no impression of any lesser quality, but the sides of the hands you can probably see are not polished. It's not something that you can see from naked eye, and to be honest, expecting this higher level of finish in the entry-level Rolex sports model may be a little too unrealistic. But I can tell you that there are watches out there that offer this level of finish at the very same price point. That's a topic for another time. Another attribute of Rolex Explorer is the dial color, which is beautifully matte and dull black. Now, I said dull black and not deep black purposely. This dial color is not the same as you see on Rolex Submariner or GMT, which is actually a very deep black. Rather, this color is a dull black, which on one hand makes the watch a little more versatile and soft-toned, and on the other leaves the inherent characteristic of Rolex Explorer from 1953. It's worth noting here that the shade of black on this Explorer and also the Explorer 2 is the same. Interestingly, this shade of black is also the same as that of Rolex C Dweller reference 122660. This black is actually very interesting and is so different that you won't even need to put the watches side by side to spot it. Here is how different the black on Explorer is from GMT. You can easily see that both colors are black, yet GMT has a very deep black, whereas Explorer has more of a dull black color. More of being a good or bad, it's actually a characteristic feature which gives Rolex Explorer a unique identity as well. If there is any such thing as one watch collection that can exist, let me tell you that Rolex Explorer would be one of the top candidates for that title. What makes the Explorer very versatile is the fact that it's both a sports and dress watch all in the same piece. It maintains a very unique balance and mix of qualities that can easily make it right fit for any occasion, be it formal or casual. Where Submariner is a sports watch that arguably can be used with dressier attire, Explorer is more of a dressier watch that is actually also a sports watch too. What makes it a very dressy watch is the case design, size, proportions and machining. The case exhibits a beautiful mix of sharp and milder profiles and curves, where lugs showcase a very sharp profile, making it bold and a tad aggressive in its looks. The case sides have unparalleled curves that are not only truly elegant, but also very subtle and classy. The dressy attributes don't stop there. Rather, the case sides are all very beautifully polished to enhance the looks and appearance of the watch. The quality of polishing is also very good and on par with one on Rolex Submariner or GMT. The watch also comes with polished bezel, which is what Rolex calls a smooth bezel. This is different from one on Oyster Perpetual, which is convex in its profile. The bezel is of course fixed and not rotating. The crown features beautifully laser-etched Rolex logo and is twin lock with 2 positions, one for winding and second for setting the time. The crown is screwed in to offer the watch with 100 meters of water resistance, and that's where the sportier attributes of the watch kick in. The top surfaces of the case are all brushed, and the brushing then continues all the way to the lugs. The bracelet is standard Oyster bracelet, which is the same as you see on Rolex Submariner. Being all brushed, this is where the watch starts to up the game in the versatility department. The brush bracelets, I personally think, are not only very tolerant to day-to-day beating, but also make the watch go under the radar. So where on one hand you have polished case sides for the watch to complement the stick hour markers of the dial and make it a perfect dress watch, the all brushed Oyster bracelet makes it an absolute sports watch for the days when you want to use it with the casual attire. The clasp is another area where Explorer far exceeds in its specs from Oyster Perpetual. The clasp is triplock and offers quick extension link system too. To add a pinch of luxury, the Rolex logo is also welded onto the clasp as opposed to engraved Rolex logo on OP39. The watch comes with Rolex 3132 movement, which offers 48 hours of power reserve. The movement features Parachrome blue hairspring and Paraflex shock absorption system. The movement hasn't upgraded in this latest model in 2016, so it's likely that Rolex upgraded at some stage to further improve on the power reserve. The movement is COSC certified regardless, meaning your watch is certified to be accurate within tolerance of ±2 seconds a day. It is Rolex and it sure won't disappoint. On the wrist, the piece wears beautifully, and even though it is only 39mm, it's not something that is on the smaller side of the case for the wrist. Of course, it's not big for that matter too. The wrist in the view is 6.5 inches or 16.5 centimeters. And the watch wears just as nice as you would expect from 39mm case size. Again, the size helps the watch with maintaining its versatility, and it can easily be worn with a jacket or suit and then with shorts and sneakers. The brush bracelet contours to the wrist perfectly, and the watch, due to its thinner case profile, makes it very easily a great size for the wrist. There is no feeling that the watch is undersized or oversized for the wrist, rather it looks just very rightly sized. The best part with this watch size is that you get to enjoy the full watch, including the dial, the case, the lugs, the way the case contours, and then the bracelet, all from the top of the wrist view. And then the way every design feature complements each other from the wrist view is a beauty to behold. Rolex Explorer 39mm is probably one of very few watches that I would genuinely consider and recommend as a one-watch collection piece. You can have it and then you can wear it in any occasion and with any dress. I simply cannot find a situation, event or a ceremony where Rolex Explorer will look out of place. And if you choose to add it to your collection, the lack of date in the dial then further makes it easier to rotate it with other watches without ever needing to worry about setting the date. It is subtle, low-tone, elegant, classy, versatile, reliable and accurate. It gives you the experience, the Rolex feel, the sense of achievement, connection with the rich history from 1953, and then the pleasure of view at the flick of the wrist. It practically has everything that you would seek and need in your daily. What is it that it doesn't have? Given a chance, If I could improve only one thing on Rolex Explorer, it would be its availability.